Hi, my name is Adam Saunders and I run a company called Neatrix, and we specialise in fixing business problems. It sounds quite broad, but then so are the business problems. Be it one-man bands or large corporations, everyone suffers for the same issues. They just suffer with them at different scales. With CRM systems, a very typical problem occurs when a company starts growing. They look for alternative ways to manage their customer information, but often go around it in the wrong way. So in this little video, I'm going to explain how and why. Well, let me start by explaining what Neatrix is. Neatrix is a fully integrated business management platform that's been built over a decade of experience working with hundreds of different types of businesses to identify the source of most of their problems. The source of most of the problems is the fact that as a business grows, it departmentalizes, it separates itself out into various different components. The issues with this is that the data and the processes tend to do the same thing. What Neatrix does is brings it all back together again. So today I am talking about CRM systems, and although it's only a part of what we do at Neatrix, it's one of the first pieces of software that people come and ask us about. The reason is as a business expands or grows, or even as it starts sometimes, the CRM is actually the second piece of software people tend to look for. The first is being the accounting system, and the accounting systems tend to be dictated by the accountant. Well, that leaves the CRM system to be chased up by either people working in the business or the business owner themselves. Now, the biggest issue with CRM system is the acronym CRM. It doesn't really mean anything. It stands for Customer Relationship Manager, but that's about it. Still doesn't really explain what it's for. Now, people tend to use CRM systems as a sales tool. It chases your pipelines and it stores your customer information. But actually, CRM systems are a lot more expansive than that. They can do a lot more things. And the issue with asking for a CRM system is that you're not really asking for anything at all. All you're asking to do is be sold to. And no one likes to be sold lots of pieces of software. Now, the problem about being sold to is that you're going to end up with one or two problems. The first one is that you're going to end up with either a system that's got too many features. Now, that just makes it complicated and possibly expensive. Or you're going to end up with a system that's trying to dictate the way that you should run your business. Neither you want. What you should be looking for, instead of a CRM system, is a solution to make positive change in your business. So what is positive change? Well, the thing is, if you bring in a system to help you do whatever you did before, you'll find your business is just going to move sideways. What you really want is a system that's going to help you seamlessly grow. Seamlessly growing is definitely positive change. Now, the way to do this is to really understand what makes seamless growth in your business. If you understand what makes seamless growth, then you know what questions you can ask a CRM vendor, or in fact any software vendor. So how does a business get seamless growth? Well, it's quite simple really. It's all about planning. Now, if you take a typical company, what they do is do a natural growth methodology. What that means is that they tend to deal with problems one issue at a time. Think of your business as a room, and a problem being the fire in the corner. Everyone's looking at the fire, knowing that there probably is a way to fix it, but they're all going to be staring at it until it's gone. Eventually they might find a piece of software or some solution to actually fix that fire. What they haven't noticed, however, is the quantity of fires behind them. In fact, the entire room is on fire. So they deal with fires one step at a time, which is a slow trial and error kind of way. With planned growth, you look at what fires you might get in the business as it grows, and you try to deal with them before they occur. That's seamless growth. So let me talk about two key problems people have when they start looking at systems. The first one is that they start asking people for recommendations. The trouble is, every single business has different requirements. You might have the same problems, but the way you want to operate, the choices you need for good growth are going to be different. If you ask other people for the recommendations, all you're going to get is a lot of recommendations. This is why on things like LinkedIn and social media, when people start asking, can anyone recommend me a CRM? It's one of the worst questions in the world. You're only going to get two responses. One is companies saying, I used X, it's great. Or two is, I work for Y, and guess what? We've got the best features in the world. Either way, you're not going to get an answer. You're just going to get more confusion for yourself. So the second problem people have is that the fact they give up after finding software. What I mean is they start looking for a piece of software, they realise it's not the one they want, they heavily invest in it, and then they stop looking for anything else. If I give you an analogy, it'd be something like this. Imagine your business to take something from building A to building B in a city. And you take it from A, you find the right path, you take it to B, you do something with it, and you might even take it to building C, do something else with it, and then bring it back to building A before delivering to the client. And you might be really good at that and get very busy. Eventually, you're not walking from building A to building B, but instead you're running, carrying lots of different people's things and doing these processes over and over again. Eventually, someone finds you doing these and says, why are you working so hard? Why don't you go and get a car? A car, you say. Never heard of a car. So you go off to a car salesman. Now the thing is with car salesmen is they're good at one thing. They're good at selling cars. Now the problem with that is that whenever you go to them and say, can I have a car? Their reply will be something like, yes, sure, I can sell you a car. In fact, I've got a brilliant car here. It's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel. You'll think that's amazing. Never heard such a thing. You take this car and you try to run your business, taking whatever it is you need to do from building A to building B in the city. Now that might seem all straightforward until you realise that actually your path takes you through fields, over bumps, through places where cars can't go. All of a sudden your car becomes pretty useless. You try and work around things, but realise actually things are getting done slower. You get so frustrated, you go, why do I bother with this car? I might as well just walk like I used to. So you go back to walking. Well, in this case, running. Someone else finds you and says, what are you doing this for? You shouldn't be running around. Why don't you go and use a car? And your reply is, I tried a car. It was rubbish. Seems like an insane thing to do, but people do that with software all the time. They find a piece of software, they heavily invest in it, they realise it's not the right thing, and whenever someone says, it's because you're using the wrong one, they just expect them all to be the same. With CRM systems, this is absolutely the case almost every time. CRM systems are not the same. And if you end up choosing one, it's the wrong thing, you're going to have to go back and choose again. This time, however, hopefully, with an expert and with a plan. Now, getting a good plan is not easy. The one problem with business owners is that they're not an expert in every field. I mean, it goes for any business owner. If you're not a sales expert, for instance, then you need to go and find someone who is. If you're going to be looking for a CRM system without a plan, without the guidance of an expert, you're probably going to end up with a system you don't want, and your business certainly doesn't need. So this leads you onto 2 more problems. How do you know you're finding the right expert? And secondly, how do you know you're going to ask the right questions to the expert in order to get the right answers? Well, for the first one, it's relatively straightforward. Go by recommendation. Secondly, if an expert comes to you, start dictating what you should be doing before you even told them what your goals are, they're probably not the person you want to be speaking to. As for the second part, asking the right questions, well, this is quite simple too. Whatever you do, do not tell your experts what to do. Just tell them your goals. tell them why you need to reach those goals, and tell them what the impact those goals should have on your business, and let them do their job. So what the expert's going to do next is probably going to try to get you to derive your own processes. Now this is one of the most important parts before you start picking the system. Because if you can understand what processes you need, you understand what data you need, and if you understand both of those, you understand what features you need, and therefore what products you need. So our last stage in trying to identify the right CRM is to understand how we approach the software vendors. Now you can do it two ways. One is you can find a proper system integrator, as in a technical person, or you can go to the vendor themselves. The thing is now you're armed with an expert's advice on your planning, and more so is some ideas of what processes you need. Now this is really key. Your processes need to be defined by what utopia looks like in your business. Don't define it by what you think is capable by systems. If you're defining it by your experience, you might miss some tricks that could be really invaluable for your business. What I mean is, some technology out there you may not have heard of, and some of them can make your life absolute heaven. So instead of trying to find what buttons you need in a system, try and ask for what accomplishments in these processes you need. Really go for utopia. The worst case scenario is you can come down a bit from utopia to more reality. What's really difficult is going from some sort of expectations and hopes to drive upwards into what could be possible for your business to accomplish with the right system. So let's finish this with a couple of tips. So my first tip would be, if you're looking for a new CRM system, go for a cloud-based one. It's modern, it's future-proof, and it takes care of a load of things that people don't want to be doing, such as data integrity, backups, disaster recovery, security, upgrades, and everything else that you would normally have to deal with traditional desktop software. It's worth it. Even with a subscription-based system, it's still worth it. My second top tip would be to try and find a system with as much automation as you possibly can. Automation can save you a ton in resources, both time and people. It also reduces the quantity of user errors, and user errors are typically the most prominent source of issues when it comes to fires in your room.